Very good to see you this morning. Look, as we've been saying, these are really positive figures. It's all heading in the right direction, but we've still got the highest inflation of certainly any major economy when you look at the United States and across mainland Europe. So what are they doing right that we're doing wrong?
Well, I think the truth is our inflation journey started a bit later and we'll come out of it a bit later. But today's significant drop to the lowest rate of increase since February last year is welcome news. But I don't want to say we're complacent in government because it won't be a straight line path necessarily. But we are on track to get to halve inflation by the end of the year, 3% by this time next year, and then on to 2%, which is the long-term target that we've always wanted the Bank of England to get back to.
Yeah, and listen, you say it's welcome news. The Prime Minister and the Chancellor have gone further, saying that this is a sign that the government's plan is working. Can you just point me in the direction of what exactly the government has done to lead to the reduction in these figures that we're seeing today?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you as Chief Secretary to the Treasury, responsible for government spending, inheriting an envelope of budgets for every government department, that actually keeping to those budgets to deal with the pay increases that were further than was anticipated when the budgets were set, in an environment where obviously growth isn't as high as we would have liked it to be, but much higher than others were saying at the start of the year. We are in a situation where that means I have to make choices around not borrowing more, not increasing taxes, and not yielding to more requests for more spending. That is what's important. Sound public finances that underpin the foundations for growth in the economy, which is obviously high productivity growth, which is what we'll be aiming for when we've got this inflation under control.
Has the Bank of England achieved anything here? Because if this is being driven by, a lot of this being driven by energy prices coming down, has it got anything to do with the base rates being increased? Or has that just simply done the opposite of what you want in terms of harming growth in this country?
Well, the government works closely with the Bank of England, but as we say all the time, they are independent in terms of setting interest rates. And they have lots of data points. We discussed last week the lag that exists between when those decisions are made and the effect on the economy. But they will make that determination on the rates, I think, on the 21st of September. And it needs government to do its bit, as I said, controlling public spending, not borrowing more money, not increasing taxes.
Yeah, forgive me,
and they will make
Mr.
those
Glen.
decisions around interest rates.
Forgive me, do you agree? I mean, that's absolutely right, they're independent. But do you agree with what they're doing?
Yeah. Well, you do the commentary. I do the decisions as a government minister. I don't commentate on the governor of the Bank of England's decisions. They make those decisions independently of government. And I think you and your colleagues do the job of scrutinising those decisions from all the different data points that go into it. And, it's not for me to make speculative comments. What I'm here to do is to make sure that we spend public money well, and where we can, we help consumers, as we did with the mortgage charter a few months ago. 90% of lenders are signed up to that to help people deal with this new higher interest rate environment for their mortgage renewals. And I will continue to do everything I can, as well as we work with supermarkets and regulators to look at price pressures in people's weekly cost of living challenges.
Yeah, and on the issue of supermarkets, because it is food inflation that is particularly sticky, particularly costing people at home a lot of the pain at the moment. Is there more that can be done by the government? Because we've seen this, haven't we, where the Chancellor has called in the bosses from the supermarkets and had a firm word with them, and then the supermarkets have smiled, drunk their coffee, and then carried on their way. It's not really helping, is it? So there needs to be something done about the way the supermarkets are arguably profiteering off other people's pain at this point of a cost of living crisis.
Well, I don't agree with that characterisation of it. I mean, what we've seen is supermarkets offering ranges of goods at cheaper prices. Obviously, we don't have a situation in this country, and I don't expect you or many of those watching this would expect the government to put price controls on goods in supermarkets. So it is a conversation leading to action by the supermarkets. We've seen today that the food component of inflation has gone down significantly, and it's due to halve by the end of this year. And we're also looking at what we can do to stabilise and secure energy supplies so that we won't be in a position where we'll be as vulnerable as where we were with what Putin did in Ukraine.
A lot of the problem that the government is going to face with this, although as we know, it's positive news. We keep saying it's coming down. It looks like you're going to hit that 5%, below 5% target by the end of the year. Excuse me. The problem is that we don't feel any better off. We're still feeling the pain. And unless that pain reduces, it doesn't help the government's cause when it comes to the next election.
Well, all I can do, and all the government can do, is relentlessly work on this core problem of getting inflation down. It underpins the foundations for sustainable high productivity growth. It's very difficult to have high growth at a time of high inflation. So I recognise your analysis. It's a common one of the political impact of this, but there isn't a single lever I or any government minister can pull to reduce inflation to target overnight. This is welcome progress today. It's significant progress that many suggested was not going to happen a few months ago. And we will continue, without being complacent, to work on getting to us to halving it this year and then further down next year and beyond.
OK, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, John Glen, thanks very much for your time this morning.